thank you. Oh, no, broken. It's bearing? It's broken. It's that bearing that's gone. Oh, well. Hi guys, back with our Traxxas X-Maxx, and have you had a problem like this? It looks rather serious, but in actual fact it's quite a simple fix and actually only a relatively minor failure, but bit of a problem with the X-Maxx. So we'll talk about that in this video. What has happened is the seal has come out of the bearing, and basically the inner bearing, which goes in there, is disintegrated. You can see the outer one is still there, but without the inner one, this axle just becomes completely loose. So what do you do? Well, the fix is these. These are the X model hub carriers, front and back, and they take this larger inner bearing. I believe the newer models of the Xmaxx come with these as standard, and these are just a simple, easy fix. You can get RPM versions of these, which come with the bearings, but this is the cheapest option. We bought these separately, and then the bearings are about a couple of quid each. We've got a couple of spares there. You're only going to need 4. So we'll show you in this video how to do it. It's a very simple process, just replacing your hub carriers on the truck, but we will go through it, and it's a worthwhile fix, and certainly it's something that we would recommend you do on your trucks, because the initial bearings, the original bearings, are tiny that go in these hub carriers, and we'll show you that. So we'll start with the rear. This is already our broken one. Already taken the wheel off. All we need to do is remove we've got the captive pins on this, so we just need to remove both the top and bottom one of these. So here is our rear hub carrier. You can see here is the old shield from the knackered bearing. So the first thing to do is obviously remove your wheel nut. You then need to just flick off the retaining pin, like so. Axle comes off, sorry, the hex comes off. Then this is a bearing that we will reuse. This is the outer bearing, and here is the inner bearing. You can see it's completely destroyed itself, so we need to be able to remove that off there. That's come off there easy enough. Chuck that bit away, don't need that. Just give a small clean up. Check the bearing there, or check the universal joint. No playing that whatsoever. So here is the new one. These are handed. There you go, so there's the right one. And I don't know if you can see the difference in the size of the bearing that this one takes. This one takes a much bigger one. So it's a very simple process to rebuild. So simple process, get your new bearing, the inner bearing, push that in there like that. The axle goes in there like that. There's no space or anything that goes on here. There goes your outer bearing. Obviously, good point just to check all your bearings that you're putting back in are okay. This then goes on there like that. It's not handed. And this then pushes on there like that. I'll just put the wheel nut on there so we don't use it. You do need to note these wheel nuts are actually handed. You'll see you've got some slight dimples on there that digs into the wheel to stop it coming undone. So that is our rear axle done. Rear hub carrier even done. Just need to go back on the truck. So just before I do the other side, I've pulled it off the truck, and you can see this is the old one. See how much smaller that bearing is compared to the new bigger one. So that's much, much stronger. And this is what happens. This bearing in here fails, and you then just get parts breaking on the truck, and obviously you need to replace it. You can still buy these and use these smaller bearings, but for the sake of how much it costs, you might as well upgrade to these. And just to bore you with comparisons, there's the actual difference in the size of the bearings. Look at that, they are so much bigger. So you've got twice the support, and you've got much bigger diameter, so the actual balls inside that ball race are bigger. So a much if you've got these ones on your truck, definitely spend a few quid and put these on. It'll make it much more reliable, it makes it much stronger. So we go, this one back on the truck. Again, just make sure none of these pins are bent when you put them back in, and make sure everything's free. So we'll now come on to the front, which is slightly different. Again, just to show you as an example, we've got there the other front, which I've done, the old one, the new one, with the difference in the bearings. It's massive. That difference in those bearings is really noticeable. So to remove the front, slightly different, we just got to undo this on the top, and you've got the same on the bottom. And we just need to undo the steering arm. That's a 2.5mm head bolt. just there. And then you've got one of these pins. Top. Always a good idea. Check to see none of these are bent. Just roll it on a flat surface and it should roll nicely. There's the bottom one. And then this should all pull off like so. So again, relatively straightforward process. We just need to get the axle off the car. As ever, just had to chase that around the workshop as it pinged off, and take our hex off, push through our axle, and then we just need to remove this bearing here. Get our new hub carrier. Again, these are handed. You can't really get these on wrong because they just won't fit if you put it the wrong way around. Put our big bearing in the back like so. Just check to see our axle feels good. That feels fine. That on there like that. Hex back on. And then our clip back on here. And I will just show you a little tip that I always do when I put the front hub back on the car in a second. So we'll just feel that feels nice and smooth. It is. That's all good. So first things first, make sure your drive shaft locates into the drive cup like so. And then make sure you get the hub lined up for pins to go through. Like so. Then put on these retaining bits top and bottom, or these retaining clips top and bottom here and underneath. Now once we've got these bits in, before you put that bit in, just make sure your steering is smooth and free. If it isn't, then you've got a problem. Then once that's done, you can then line up the steering link, and then that will be a little bit of a tight fit to first go in there because it's a new thread you're cutting in that hub carrier, or steering knuckle, whatever you want to call it. Do that up nice, reasonable tight. So there we have it. We replaced the front and the back. We've got rid of these nasty tiny bearings and replaced them with these much bigger bearings, so it's going to be much stronger. So we'll give the truck a rip and see how it goes.
Oh, wheel spin on the dirt. Oh, slide into the corner. You're then sliding between the cars. Oh, got a bit of steering lock now. Oh, he's turned inside. Might have been a little tap there. Up the inside. Oh, you actually can get oversteer now around the corners rather than understeering on the old side. Oh, still got quite a bit of understeer. I might have done a bit of servo. I'm not sure, I might have done probably the servo. Somehow put the cones in the way. We've got a few dodgy noises on the green truck, we're not sure what they are. That's 3 of that.